There's a moment some people know very well. You're outside your home, maybe at school, maybe at work, or visiting someone else's house. Everything seems normal until a quiet thought appears in the back of your mind. What if I need the bathroom here? Suddenly, the environment changes. The room feels different. Your body becomes more alert. Your mind begins scanning. Where is it? Is it clean? What if someone notices how long I'm gone? Most people around you move through their day without thinking about any of this. But for some people, that small question quietly shapes entire decisions. Where to go, how long to stay, even whether to leave the house at all. And if this is something you recognize, you've probably heard explanations that feel a little shallow. People say you're overthinking, or that you're just too sensitive. Sometimes it's treated like a strange habit that you should simply ignore. But what most people miss is that this experience isn't random, and it isn't a personal flaw. It's a pattern. And there's actually a name for what many people experience in some form: bathroom anxiety. Not the dramatic version people imagine, but the quieter one, the constant awareness, the anticipation, the need for control over something most people never think twice about. What's happening here has less to do with bathrooms and much more to do with how the brain manages safety. Our nervous system has one primary job: to predict and prevent discomfort. When the brain detects a situation that could lead to embarrassment, vulnerability, or loss of control, it begins monitoring that situation more closely. Over time, this monitoring becomes automatic. Psychologists call this anticipatory anxiety, when the mind focuses not on what is happening now, but on what might happen, and the body listens very carefully to those predictions. The brain and the digestive system are deeply connected. Scientists call this connection the gut-brain axis. Signals constantly travel between them through the vagus nerve and the enteric nervous system, which means when the brain becomes alert or anxious, the gut often responds immediately. You may suddenly feel the urge to go to the bathroom, even if physically nothing urgent is actually happening. Then the brain notices that sensation, and now the loop begins. The brain thinks, see, something might happen, so it pays even closer attention. The body becomes more sensitive, the mind becomes more watchful, and suddenly, a simple biological function starts to feel unpredictable and difficult to control. But here's something that's rarely explained. This pattern usually doesn't start with bathrooms at all. It often develops in environments where control, embarrassment, or being judged felt important. Maybe there were moments growing up when privacy wasn't respected. Maybe there were situations where illness, stomach problems, or accidents created embarrassment. Or maybe you simply learned early in life to stay alert to social signals, how people react, what they notice, what might draw attention. The nervous system quietly adapts in those environments. It begins to prioritize preparation. It learns that being ready can prevent uncomfortable situations. And over time, that readiness can attach itself to certain routines, like always knowing where the bathroom is. From the outside, it might look like a strange habit, but internally, it's the nervous system doing something helpful, trying to maintain control over uncertainty. There's also something important to understand about attention. The brain treats whatever we monitor as important. So if the mind learns to regularly check the body for signs of needing the bathroom, it becomes extremely skilled at detecting even the smallest sensations, much earlier than other people would notice them. It's not that the body is malfunctioning. In many cases, it's actually more responsive. And that sensitivity can make it feel like something is wrong, when in reality, the nervous system is simply tuned very precisely. Society often misunderstands this kind of sensitivity. We admire people who appear completely relaxed and unaffected by their surroundings. But nervous systems don't all work the same way. Some people move through the world with very little internal monitoring. Others move through the world with a lot more awareness. Neither one is better. They simply come with different trade-offs. The same person who becomes aware of bodily signals very early may also be someone who reads environments deeply, senses emotional shifts in others, or anticipates problems before they happen. Sensitivity and vigilance often travel together. And while they can create moments of discomfort, they are also part of how some people navigate life carefully and thoughtfully. There's a paradox here. The more the mind tries to prevent something from happening, the more attention it gives it, and attention amplifies experience. Trying very hard not to need the bathroom can actually make the sensation feel stronger, not because the body is failing, but because the brain is watching so closely. Understanding this can be quietly relieving. It shifts the story from "something is wrong with me" to something more accurate. Your nervous system simply learned to monitor a particular type of uncertainty, and once the brain learns that pattern, it doesn't easily forget it. But that doesn't mean this experience defines you. It doesn't mean you're fragile. It doesn't mean you're overly dramatic. It simply means your brain is doing what brains do, trying to protect you from situations that once felt uncomfortable. And sometimes, that protection becomes a little overactive. Many people who experience bathroom anxiety spend years thinking they are alone, but they're not. This pattern quietly exists for far more people than anyone talks about, because it feels personal, embarrassing, hard to explain. But once you understand the psychology behind it, the experience starts to make sense, not as a weakness, but as a nervous system pattern that developed for a reason. And patterns, once understood, lose much of their mystery. So if parts of this felt familiar, there's a good chance your mind works in other fascinating ways too. The same systems that create certain anxieties often create deep perception, careful thinking, and strong internal awareness. Understanding them can reveal things about yourself that most people never take the time to explore. And if this resonated with you, there are a few more quiet patterns of the mind that may feel surprisingly familiar once you begin to notice them.